Okay, can you hear me now? Microphone test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ooh, yay! Okay, let's see if the yeah, that's not gonna work either. Hold on. I'm gonna make this right. Okay, great. So now you should be able to hear what I hear. To be over here, right there. Let's test that with this. I don't know. We'll come back to it. Okay, because I only really have like one video to show you today. Anyway, hi everyone. My name is Sean. I'm Firelife 2018, and today we're here to talk about single transferable voting most effectively. Uh, Maybe I should preface that with you don't know me, I don't know you. You could be anybody from Adam and anybody at this point. So who I am a gentleman who has literally feel like he has every job in the world. I'm just a working man who's now unemployed because I don't want to go back into this crazy world that exists today, and I think I'd like to change it instead of just abandoning it. So that's where we are. I would like to change the world. I don't really want to be president, but I feel like it might be necessary for me to become that to change things. Not that the president really has any real power to anything, but giving me a mouthpiece would be a nice start to that, I feel. So there's that. Indeed. Indubitably. So, the way I plan to do that is with single transferable voting, is why we talk about that. I don't think that our politicians should be in office for more than 2 terms. It should be like compulsory civic duty, really. Like, oh man, I got drafted to be the governor this year. God dog it. I think it might, like, the people that are in office currently are a little bit out of touch with who we are as people. So that's a thing. And the system currently is just set up in a way that it's really hard for them to get new blood in. Like, if you want to be in the federal government, you have to start at your local level and put in your 20 years there. And you're like, yeah, the climate's on fire. We don't have 20 years for you guys to get this fixed. Is truly where we are at this juncture in our life. So, my suggestion is that you go to the polls in November in your midterm election, because the primaries aren't happening this year because the DNC has pulled out from the debate commission. Excuse me. Yep, I'm a smoker. Fair enough. Um, so the RNC has pulled out of the debate commission, and that means that there aren't going to be, like, the two political parties we have in power currently are literally um sorry, I got a text message. They're so opposed to one another, they can't even sit at a table and have civil conversations. Like, they're not going to sit down and have a debate. But anyway, so when you go to the polls in November in your midterm elections, because it's really important that we vote for something other than what we're getting told to, um, write in change the vote instead of actually voting for someone. Write in change the vote, but don't not go. Because if you don't not go, they're not going to be not pleased. You really have to get people who are like, I don't ever vote. You have to get those people to go vote and write in change the vote. Like, you don't actually have to vote. You can write whatever you want to put on that stupid sheet, but you need to go vote. Because the midterms of surely are horrible. Anyway, and the president always loses political power, and if the Republicans get 2/3 of majority of the House and Senate, it could be disastrous for us, you guys. So let's talk about single transferable voting and what it is. Single transferable voting is a multi-winner ranked choice voting method in an electoral system which voters rank the candidates according to their preferences, and their single vote transferred to the other candidates based on their rankings. Is a preferred candidate is eliminated, so their vote still counts. So, like, say there's 3 people running for office, and you rank them 1, 2, and 3. If your number 1 person gets dropped out in the first round because mathematically they have to drop somebody, then your vote then moves to the number 2 person that you chose. So it's not about voting for the lesser of two evils. You actually do get to rank those, and hopefully that your vote still counts in that direction. Not to mention, they get to see that information that these many people voted for that candidate at the time and give them funding and the ability to be in the debate situation. So that's important. So that's the plan, is when you go to the polls in November, if you're displeased with your candidate options, you write in change the vote, and hopefully that will lead them back to me, where I read here every Wednesday, and we're kind of turning this into a little political rally. So feel free to ask your questions in the chat. Make sure you subscribe to the channel while you're here so you can be reminded when we do this every Wednesday. Sometimes we play games, sometimes we have guest stars, sometimes we have random people, but when it's just me, I usually talk about what's going on in the world today. My big thing that I feel like a lot of folks just skipped over, like nobody noticed this happened, and I found this out by researching this woman who is Ronna McDaniel. She is the chairperson of the Republican National Commission. I'm sorry, Committee. They are the people who elect the Republican candidate for basically everything. So who she is, if you didn't know, she was appointed by Donald Trump in 2016 and continues. But she's an anti-vaxxer. She's a climate denier. She's probably the mastermind behind all the Roe v. Wade situation in general. Like, this has been going on since 2016. That she's been basically pulling the strings of the Republican Party. And I shouldn't even say since 2016. It's been a long time since the Republican Party has been lining up this whole situation to get all these conservative voters and conservative judges. And if they get a 2/3 majority of the House and the Senate while they control a 5v2 majority in the Supreme Court, it's going to become a handmaid's tale in the country, you guys. I'm just saying. But the important part of what's going on with the Republicans quitting the debate team, because the debate commission, because it's biased, means that they're not going to sit down at the table at all. Like, we'll never see the two candidates debating one another. Like, as much as the presidential debates between Biden and Trump were just so wonderful, they showed us what Trump was. Like, I think a lot of people lost that Republican je ne sais quoi. Like, everything Republicans say are scripted, crafted to make you feel some kind of way. And in a debate situation, they don't get to check the questions, and they both get equal time to answer said questions. I don't understand why they're upset. Like, neither person gets to ask the question. That should be the time that America gets to put forth the questions we would like to ask the candidates, and that's usually what happens. Like, the moderators that are chosen to do it each year usually ask the general public about what the specific issues are that matter, and then those questions are brought up in the debate team. So now their RNC has basically just been like, nope, we're not doing that. It's biased. So I'm not sure what that's even going to look like now, because I hope to God it gives the Libertarian candidate some airtime, perhaps, or just any other party at all might get some airtime in the debates. Because a lot of the old folks that I know still watch presidential debates. I'm not sure if any of the young people do, but I think the young people already know about the other parties in the world, so I don't know. I don't know. I voted Libertarian in 2016, and I'm still very concerned. I only voted Libertarian because they have to get 5% of the majority vote. I'm sorry, 15% of the majority vote in order to be allowed onto the debate stage, according to the debate commission. So that's a thing. I feel like I need some background music. I hope that's going to be a thing. But let me, while I'm looking that up, let's talk about the Roe v. Wade situation that's going on with literally everybody right now. This is a video from the PBS American Broadcast Service. It's Hillary Clinton talking about the abortion situation, and it's like literally the best bet that I can put you there. So I'm going to give you this for a moment.
In the United States, that early
Make
draft
sure you can hear
opinion from the
it.
Supreme Court. If the final opinion looks anything like this, what does it mean for American women? And what do you believe the options are for those who believe women should have a choice?
Well, I think if this opinion actually is finally published as representing the majority of the court, it is a direct assault on the dignity, rights, and even lives of American women. And it is heartbreaking to see this court dominated by extremists who do not represent the majority of Americans, men and women, who believe that this is a right that women should have, doing all they can to set the clock back. This is the first time, perhaps, that I'm aware of that a right will be actually taken away. So what can be done? There has to be a recognition that as horrible assault as this is on women's rights.
I'm just gonna stop it there because the first time I saw this interview, I was actually just listening to it. I hadn't seen her until now. God, she looks awful. I'm sorry, Hillary. Sorry, Hillary, but you look awful.
It is perhaps only the beginning of this court trying to undo so much of the progress of the last 50 years. You know, as a recovering lawyer, I'm aware that the problem that this court is focused on is by saying that there is no real right to privacy, that Roe was decided wrongly. Well, Roe followed a case called Griswold, which struck down a law prohibiting married heterosexual couples from having access to contraception. It served as the basis of decriminalizing consenting sexual behavior between gay people who were adults and able to.
Let me stop you there too. That was, you heard that right. That was decriminalizing. Like, not even like it was decriminalizing the rights gay marriage situation. So, reasons why you should care. Ding, 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 ding.
Express their own feelings toward one another. It certainly underpins gay marriage. So this is real threat, Judy, to our democracy, not just to the rights of women.
And yet the options, given the political realities of Congress, are very few, aren't they? And what do you see? Do you see this energizing Democrats more or Republicans going into these crucial midterms?
Well, I hope it energizes all Americans who care about our democracy, who care about the women in their lives.
See, that's a really good question. I often call into the fact that the opinion that we're all bitching about right now was actually written in February, and the opinion's not until June. So the leak is a thing here, like, because we can't do anything as the American public except to go protest. And we, as you heard, Mitch McConnell urged them all to do their civic duty and ignore those people protesting, according to Mitch McConnell, as you so recall. So I'm not sure they're going to do anything to that situation. But anyway, back to that.
Who care about, you know, an extreme minority dictating the decisions that all of us are going to have to make, because they're the ones who are trying to determine that for everyone else. So even if you're not a woman, even if you're not gay, even if you're not in an interracial marriage, even if you don't use contraception, whatever your position is, you should be worried about this. And the real answer is to elect people who will respect the rights and dignity of Americans, women and men alike.
I think there's a consensus that.
Okay, so as you know, I usually go through and check the sources of my things that I put on here as well. But just to put this out, this is from PBS NewsHour. If you question the credibility of PBS, I question your sanity, and maybe you should make a donation. Just all I'm saying. RNC, this one came from NPR, also a national public radio situation that tries. It obviously is funded by some things, but it tries really hard to be upfront about who it's funded by, and I don't believe that they let that influence their reporting to any great deal. Our next one, I had to bring the reason I bring that up is because our next one, I wanted to start with the history of what this is. We're getting this information from space.com, and their history is space.com launched in New York City in July 20th, 1990. The company was originally founded by news anchor Lou Dobbins and Rich Zadornik. I don't know who they are, but they were serving as the first president. But then we later met by Sally Ride, became a leader, and Neil Armstrong were on the board of directors. They were also, in 2003, they received the Online Journalism Award for breaking news. So just keep that in mind that this is, I feel, a credible source for the causes and effect of climate change. Climate change is the long-term continued shifting temperatures and weather patterns on planet Earth and evolution driven by human activities. In the over 4.5 billion years the Earth has existed, orbiting the Sun in a small stellar neighborhood we call home. Our planet has gone through many changes, but humans have a profound impact. Burning fossil fuels, coal, oil, and gas, produces greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide. These gases, which produce in industries including agriculture, energy, and more, have earned the name because of the Earth's atmosphere. They trap the heat in our planet, preventing it from escaping and creating the warming effect we've all heard about. Yes? I'm not sure what this is. Let's listen.
Institute for Space Studies, stood before the US Senate and testified that
global warming has reached a level such that we can ascribe with a high degree of confidence a cause and effect relationship between the greenhouse effect and observed warming. It is already happening now. This last year, 2021, comes in as the sixth.
Damn it, I hate that. He is NASA's Goddard Institute for Space Studies. He's the director of a NASA institute. Damn it, all to hell. The wrong one? That was totally this one. You know, I know you gotta pay your bills, but...
Dr. James Hansen, then director of NASA's Goddard Institute for Space Studies,
Oh, that's the
stood
dude.
before the US Senate and
Same dude.
testified
Wow, he
that
didn't age that well
Global
either.
warming has reached
Sorry, friend.
a level such that we can ascribe with a high degree of confidence a cause and effect relationship between the greenhouse effect and observed warming.
Maybe I
It
just
is
secretly wanted to
already
make you listen to
happening
this again.
now. This last year, 2021, comes in as the sixth warmest year on record, and it continues this large, long-term warming that Jim Hansen was detecting even in 1988. And in 1988, that was also a globally warmest year, but now that ranks only 28th in the ranking. And so the warming that we've had since Jim Hansen's testimony has been dramatic and totally vindicates the concern and the warnings that he put out at that time.
the Goddard Institute for Space Studies, or GISS for short, maintains NASA's record of Earth's surface temperature, called GISS temp, that shows a clear and unequivocal increase in our planet's temperature. GISS temp stretches from 1880, long before NASA existed, until the present day.
Ooh.
Now, when you think of NASA, you
Ooh.
probably think of, well, space, right? And we do lots of work studying Earth from above. But the GISS temp record is actually built from the ground up. We collect measurements taken from weather stations, Antarctic research stations, and ships and ocean buoys all around the planet to understand what temperature changes look like globally. And why does the record start in 1880? That's the earliest period that we have sufficiently reliable measurements from ships and weather stations in enough places to be confident in the global record. Interestingly, it's also shortly after the time we call the Industrial Revolution, when humans started putting significant amounts of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. But we'll get back to that later.
There are millions of measurements over the last 140 odd years. We put those together. We're using data from literally tens of thousands of different stations around the world. We use the information that's there to create a global picture of what's happening, and that gives us
Okay, so wow. Where was that map? That's this one? Let me just leave you with that. Gonna skip that back to see, this is the beginning of that time lapse to the end of that time lapse. Hi, Dios míos. So indeed, all I did was Google climate change for that, and that's one of these things that came up. That was there. Yikes. I wonder if there's news. I probably should just look for climate change and then click news. Southwest drought and fires are a window to our climate change future, but I don't really know what ProPublica. That might not be the greatest one. Bodies newly discovered in lake show climate change's effect. What? SMB, that might be clickbait. That sounds a lot like clickbait. Israel to take part in the world's longest nonstop relay to highlight climate change. Israel's to take part in the world's longest nonstop relay to highlight climate change. Running out of time, participants can register for 10K slots along 7,200-kilometer route from Glasgow, Scotland to Shemel, Egypt, where UN COP27 climate confab will be held. Let's talk about this. Do we know what this is? I feel like a lot of people who see this are like, what? The UN Climate Change Conference is what this is. This is the 27th session of the Climate Change Conference. Like, let me let that sink in. This is the 27th. Like, they've literally been having conferences about this for 30 fucking years already, peeps. Like, stop consuming plastic. Stop it right now. Just stop. Stop it right now. I know we can't. It's hot. It's hard. Like I'm literally like saving every little plastic piece I get because I'm like, what do I do with all this plastic thing? Because we've. I don't know if you've heard about the plastic situation with the. Let's talk about that. Plastic. Recycling myth. A shocking new Greenpeace report reveals that most types of single-use plastic cannot be recycled in the United States. Target is selling you products that are labeled recyclable, but in fact are not. The labels are misleading and often incorrect. Greenpeace pants on fire, false recyclability claims on store shelves. The myth of single-use plastic recycling. 9% of all the plastic is recycled, and consumers can only look to the city or waste hauler's website to see if an item is collected. What consumers can't check on is where that plastic item goes from the sortation facility to the landfill to the incineration, or it's exported instead of being recycled. Since then, a shocking new Greenpeace report has revealed that most types of single-use plastic cannot be recycled in the United States, despite the widespread use of recycling symbols and marketing aimed at convincing us that it's okay to use throwaway plastic. Only Plastic 1 and Plastic 2 bottles and jugs meet minimum legal standards to be labeled recyclable. What this means is that the dutiful recycler is most of the plastic items are encouraged to wash, sort, and put in the blue bins. Is the ones numbered 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are usually ending up in landfills or plastic incinerators, if not polluting the environment. And of course, we know very little that when it gets burned or landfilled ends up contaminating our environment too, with toxic chemicals ending up in the soil we grow, our food, our water we drink, and the air we breathe. Yikes. Let's look at this actual Greenpeace report. The report. Circular claims fall flat. Secular? Circular. Secular? Probably secular. Most of the plastic items you are encouraged to wash, sort, and put away in the blue bins. Usually it's in landfills, etc. We just read that. In a new Greenpeace report, a comprehensive survey of the plastic report waste collection sortation process in the United States was performed to determination of least cycles. Where's I was like, where's the damn report? Evidence collected plastic disposal. Let's start on page 24, shall we? Evidence of collected plastic disposal and export to countries with poor waste management. Extensive evidence of collected plastics waste being disposed or exported to countries with poor waste management was found during a USMRF survey The evidence shows that consumers cannot check locally to determine if the item accepted for collection will be MRF will be brought by the recycler processor to be manufactured into a new product. The detailed survey of the UMRF's acceptance of plastic is revealed. Evidence that collected plastic waste is not recycled. Like, now I want to look at this survey. A survey to ensure that local parameters. Hmm. Hmm. I guess that's the U.S. Plastic Recycling Survey. It's from the last beach cleanup. Recycling. Hmm. So who is this? Is the recyclingpartnership.org that has the MRF survey, and the survey is to ensure that local programs of the MRF. And the MRF is who exactly? Let's see who they are. They're a national force for improving recycling. As a leading national force for improving recycling, partnership puts private dollars to work in communities because we know when we invest in a system to protect resources, empower sustainable action, and unlock opportunity, everyone wins. We drive measurable sustainability through uh, core values, meet the team. Hmm. Hmm. So, like, did Greenpeace just like take one of these reports and run out there and do it? I'm not sure I trust Greenpeace as a source. Like, I 100% could believe that like the plastic situation is not recyclable. I 100% believe there's only like I remember that when it first came out, they were talking about you only can recycle the ones and twos, but all the rest of this is not, and that we're being like completely misled by marketing into the fact that we would be, sure, get your forks and plastic bags and stuff. They're totally recyclable, and I'm like, they mean that because you can just reuse them. Technically, they are recyclable. Like these plastic things that never go away and are dishwasher safe. Like I don't know how many takeout containers we get from restaurants that you can literally just put in the dishwasher and then use like Tupperware. I don't know why everybody throws them away. That's what we really like. It's not about it. And then you could take it back to that restaurant the next time you went. Like, oh look, I already brought my own takeout. Ah, that's good. Please do that. We love that. I love when people do that. Always do that. Anyway, so we know the climate's on fire for sure. We're gonna give this Greenpeace situation with the plastic and the recycling a maybe. It seems plausible, but the evidence really isn't there to support it. To be fair, so that leads us back to this whole climate change conference that they've been doing. Um, this for 30, like 27 years. I mean, I guess it's possible they did from one over. The 26th session of the Conference of Parties on was originally scheduled to take place November in Glasgow, and on May 28th decided it would take place in November, so they moved it. Okay, so who's these peoples? Their homepage says Sid Knowledge Hub. That's not really what I wanted to bring out. Why this is a thing. Because cop was it? I feel like it was 21. The first 30 pages of this organization. Report for the subsidiary body of scientific theory and advance. Reports of the subsidiary bodies. So they really don't actually get to anything of note in this report until page 35. Or was it like condensing 35? Oh, I guess we're looking at part 3. One, 2B? What? I don't really think this is what I wanted anyway. Anyway, the reason the whole thing about the most recent climate change accords, they basically came together and were like, you know what, we're gonna come back. We're gonna come back to this in the next one, and we'll have better answers then. That was the last one. They're just pretty much out of reports. Like, hey, everybody, we already know it's a thing. I have this up because the Russian-Ukraine war thing is still a thing. Like, don't forget this. Like you forgot Kiev, you guys. I need you to remember the Russian-Ukraine war is still going on. If you don't actually follow the news, you might totally forget, and that's very American of us to be like, "Oh, ha 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 ha, wow." Scroll, scroll. As much as I am now a creator and now a YouTuber, um, the scrolling. Oh gosh, I hate it for you. I hate it for you. So that's where we're at with the news today. We talked about the Roe v. Wade. We talked about the climate change. We talked about the war in Ukraine. I feel like those are your big 3. So, in summation, don't forget when you go to the polls in November, you write in change the vote instead of voting for someone that you don't really feel like you want to be in office. We hope that the whole situation with the RNC doesn't blow up our political debate. Like, don't forget this happened. If you're new to the political situation in the world, don't forget this happened. Nobody knows who's Ronald McDaniel. Who knows who Ronald McDaniel is in the first place, nor how batshit crazy she is. Go look her up on Twitter. She's batshit crazy. So, what do you think, you guys? I see that there's some people out there in the universe. I haven't got any new subs, any new anything. Turn on my camera back on. Hello! Sorry, I forgot to turn it back on. We were watching full screen videos earlier. If you missed that from the Hillary Clinton roundup situation. We're here every Wednesday, 9 p.m. I would like to turn this into a political rally, so I freely encourage you to chit chat, and say things in the chat. If you think my information is bullshit, by all means, I will show you the sources. If I can't find out the sources, we'll give it a call. We were there earlier with this Greenpeace and the plastic situation. It's 100% true. I hear news from literally everywhere too, and it's all being gaslighted to us in one shape, fashion, or form. So always consider the source. Once again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow, and we'll see you here again next week. Thanks, guys.